Hi, my name is LaTrenta Riddick, and I am going to be doing my post on the discussion of mental health and children. So, after reading the articles and listening to the audio stories, um, what surprised me most, I would have to say, is that um, the lasting effect that certain events have on children. Um, in the second video, screening mental health in kindergarten is way too late, experts say. Okay, that was the NPR video, the second one. I just thought it was so crazy that infants, their brains are like sponges and they absorb information so quickly. And so that's why it's so important to, like, have what they said in the video, pink flag instead of a red flag, to know the signs before it's too late. Some other things that I thought were interesting, that nurses have so much, I don't want to say responsibility, but they are basically like the first line, even before the teacher. They're like the first line of defense in diagnosing mental health issues in children, or seeing things that might not be right in children. And yeah, I thought that was very surprising, very interesting, because when you think about it, you always think that the teacher, because the teacher sees the child all day and is around the child most of the day. But yeah, when a child goes to a nurse, they get that one-on-one interaction. And so I can see it now that a nurse would have a better insight to something was going on with a child with having that one-on-one time. Do you feel that schools have a responsibility to assess mental health of their students? Why or why not? I do feel like schools have a responsibility to assess mental health of their students. First off, for safety reasons, if a child has mental health issues and it's not dealt with, then children and teachers and school staff, they're at risk for a child going off the deep end and bringing a weapon to school and shooting up the place. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I feel like it's the school's responsibility to put the well-being of the child first, and that starts also with mental health. With that being said, I also feel like it's the responsibility of our community, of our government, of our school boards to pay these teachers more money, because there is a lot that goes into diagnosing or even realizing that a child may have some mental health issues. I think that it's important. Like, every child's life matters, and with this day and age, we're starting to realize that there are a lot of mental health things that have been in the past overlooked, and we're realizing that mental health is not a stigma. It's not something that should be hidden. It should be talked about. It should be approached. And I feel like it's very important that we start with that when we're young, like when our kids are young, that they understand that there's nothing wrong with having a discussion about mental health. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean that you're weird, or you need to hide under a rock somewhere. I think that it's important that we start this conversation while our kids are in school, not when they're 30 years old and on their second child and trying to figure out why I'm so depressed. Number 3, what else can be done to help address mental health issues in school-age children? Personally, I feel like, well, after, doing some reading and, you know, listening to the videos and reading the article, especially in the first article, they made a very good point, and I totally agree with this. Children should be able to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist when problems first show up. I think a really good way that we can address mental health issues in school-age children is by having an on-site psychologist at schools, or at least 2 or 3 within a district. I understand that some districts are smaller or they can't afford to have one, but if we can make it a point to make mental health as a society, mental health important enough, just like we have a school nurse, we could have a school psychiatrist, just plain and simple. That's what I think is the best thing to address mental health issues. I also think that if we train our school staff, our teachers, principals, administrators, counselors on to see the signs and to do like a basic analysis of children, that also would be very preventative in a child's mental health. So yeah, that's what I think. I thought both the audios were very insightful. The article was very insightful. It's very crazy how one thing can have a spiraling effect on a child. So let me know what you think and we can discuss. Thanks.